Alright, we are back on sports. You gotta be fucking kidding me. We're gonna start off with the Eagles. Thanksgiving game. Look, Eagles. Any fan at this point, you can't even be upset at this point. Because, from this point on, because the season is already over. And I'm gonna say that, alright? These guys are not putting in any effort, as far as I'm concerned. That's number one, alright? Number two, you cannot, because I want to rewind before the Thanksgiving game, okay? I want to rewind back to Lane Johnson, for those who don't know. Lane Johnson came out after the Tampa Bay game and said, the fans, they don't care. They didn't seem like they were trying to cheer us. They didn't really care. Pretty much saying that we're not loyal fans. That's what Lane Johnson said. First off, Lane Johnson, okay? You are the last person to talk about loyalty and talk about integrity, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, when you got suspended for PEDs, you suspended, 4 games? That tells me enough. I've told you people in the past on here that I will not support Lane Johnson regardless, all right? And we've seen, since he's been off the junk, we've seen all season him, pass rusher, get blown by him. One after another, after another, after another. We've seen it. So for him to come out and say something about the fan base, which you have to earn that cheer, you just don't get it. You don't just get accolades just because you're on the team. No. When you play well, we cheer. Because you're trying hard. But you're not trying hard right now, so you're going to get booed off the field. Bottom line, okay? Now, with that being said, Lane Johnson did apologize and said he understands that he has to earn it and blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Y'all have to understand, once that is said, there's no apology from me. All right? I'm not trying to accept no fucking apology from some guy who got caught doing something and then going to try and bag on the fan base. This is really starting to look like the Andy Reid era again. Those final years, right? Starting to look like it. Because we've seen with this team, when they start losing and they get frustrated, what happens? They go ahead and they blame the fan base. And then the fan base yells at them and they start fighting. I don't care about a fucking excuse. It shouldn't have came out of his mouth to begin with. Alright? No excuses, no apologies. You're going to have to suck that one up. Alright? So fuck you as far as I'm concerned, Lane Johnson. Now, with that being said, like I said, when you've had fans that's been Eagles fans all their life and has gone to the games, they're sitting out in the cold, they got the signs, they've been through hell and back waiting for this team to bring them a Super Bowl, and you say some shit like that? That there's more to it than just I'm sorry. We just don't accept that shit. Or at least I'm not gonna say we because I'm not gonna speak for everyone, but I just don't accept that shit. No. Anyways, about this team. This team is so pathetic right now. And I say this due to the fact that I don't care what the standings look like in the NFC East, because let's be honest here, alright? I don't care if the Giants lost to the Redskins and, the Eagles are only 1 game back and they can still make some noise. No, stop. If you see the level of effort that's being put into these games, there is no way, and it's not just matchups or mismatches when it comes to player personnel, okay? Or Chip Kelly trying to, incorporate people in the system. We'll talk about that a little bit later, okay? But no, there's more to it. It's the lack of effort. That's what it comes down to. All right? It's not just secondary just getting blown out or whatever. No. All right? It's not just, like I said, mismatches, play calling, things of that nature. This team is a wreck. It just is. All right? I can't tell you how many times I've seen Mark Sanchez on the side arguing. This is 2 weeks in a row now. 2 weeks in a row now, we have caught him on the side arguing with other players because of something he did wrong. All right? At the Tampa Bay game, he was arguing with Darren Sproles. And then in the Thanksgiving game, what happened? He was arguing, actually Allegor came up to him, but they were arguing about it because Mark Sanchez is not the guy. He's not. And this is starting to snowball. So you blame the fans first, okay? You blame the fans. Now you're starting to blame the players. The players are starting to go at each other. It's almost like cannibalism at this point. You've got to be kidding me that we're starting to see this. Now, with that being said, I want to say this real quick, because you should know by now that this is something that is going to be a problem in the future. Because if Chip Kelly stays in the future, you should know that it's not going to get any better with any type of draft. Not in one draft. We'll talk about just this a little bit later, all right? Because I have some things I need to show you when it comes to the Eagles. But also understand that on Twitter, I had said to you, what did I say? Before Thanksgiving game, I said, repeat after me, Eagles fans. All right? I will not let the Eagles ruin my Thanksgiving. That's what I said. And some Eagles fans said, well, it's too late. I didn't see it. And my Thanksgiving's ruined, and some other people understood because we expected the Eagles to lose. I said on Twitter, the Lions may put a 50 spot on us. And what happened? They ended up putting 45 on, so I was close. But the fact is, this is something that shouldn't happen. But since it's happening, because you have to understand, after the way they lost to Tampa Bay, you would think that they would come out guns blazing. They would react. They would give the fan base enough hope to say, hey, at least they're fighting back. That's where the effort is, because they're well aware of what the fuck is going on. But no, they didn't do that, did they? This is why I say the season is done. So let's hear what other people have to say.
This week, and when you look at this team, we've seen a lot of bad football before. They haven't been 4-7 since Andy's last year.
Yeah, it was just pathetic today. It was just pathetic. I tweeted out this morning to Philly sports fans, happy Thanksgiving, be thankful that it can't get any worse. Well, it did. Unbelievably, it did. And think about this. Someone tweeted it to us during the game. Of the 4 Philadelphia sports teams in 2015, the best winning percentage is the Philadelphia Phillies. And they were the worst team in baseball. They had the highest winning percentage of any of our teams.
And they lost 99 games.
What?
Highest winning percentage of any team in the calendar year 2015.
It is a sad day when the Phillies, who lost 99 games, had the best winning percentage in all these franchises this year. I told you, this is not just an Eagles problem. It's not. No, it's a Philadelphia problem. Because I told you last week, if you're waiting for one of these franchises to bring you some type of championship, you're pretty much waiting for world peace. You got to go out and get yours to make yourself happy. You have to. Go out and get what you earn. I'll explain, okay? On Saturday, I went over to this guy's, my friend, it was one of his friends, went over there to watch some college football. You know what I mean? And when I went over there, he's got his little, I guess you want to call it a man cave. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but whatever. But you looked on his wall, and you saw all these plaques and accolades of, like, NFL players, like Bo Jackson in his time and Marcus Allen and all these old players. And he's like, how do you like my place? And I didn't mean to be rude, because I apologize for it. I didn't mean to be rude. But the first thing out of my mouth was, well, where's your accomplishments? Where's it at? And he just did one of these. He was like, and I had to apologize. I was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. It wasn't to be mean. It was just, I was just observing and just wondering, because you're spending your life collecting accolades of other people you don't know, and you don't have anything that says you. You didn't spend anything, to do yourself. That's kind of sad, And it's the same thing here in Philadelphia. If these teams aren't winning, go out and win something yourself. It's the only way, because if you sit around and you just think, week after week, the Eagles, I can't take it. The Sixers, I can't take it. Like, I'll sit here and talk about it, but you got to be fucking crazy if you think that I'm not out there doing me. No, like, that's what it's about. Like I said, there's a reason why we are a good sports city. Not just because we back our teams. No, because we go out and we play sports and we do all types of activities. Because like I told you before, when ESPN is talking about, this NBA game is on and they want to talk all this stuff, you can go on the court right now. You can find people. It's 30 degrees outside right now. I guarantee you're going to find someone making, doing free throws outside. They're not inside. They're outside with the coat on doing free throws. Like, that's what this city is about. It's hard work. And when you don't see that hard work from your professionals, guess what? You can go down to a lower level, to a local level, and you can find that hard work. But of course, local media doesn't, they don't tout that because they don't talk about that. Never do they? No. And I keep saying, it's been saying it for years, man. But it seems like nobody's still awakened to that for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you just don't give a shit, or you really are just about, or you're like these radio stations and these dudes that only care about major franchises that spend millions of dollars. You do realize these $1 million athletes, they came from a local level. They had to come from a bad neighborhood. You know what I mean? They had to play in these, these rec leagues and things of that nature. You understand that, right? But you're just worried about when they get pro. That's the sad part. It is. But let's keep moving on, because they have more to say on CSN about the Eagles. Because you know what? We're sitting here and we're talking about lack of effort. And I want Ray Didinger, because as you know, I really don't agree much with Ray Didinger. But the stats that we're seeing and what Tampa Bay and what Detroit could have done to us is far more damaging.
it all is on Chip Kelly.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of it. And you look at those numbers, as ugly as they are, you have to understand that both Tampa Bay and Detroit today took their foot off the gas. I mean, Tampa Bay was on a 700-yard pace last week when they backed up. The Lions could have easily gone over 600 today if they had chosen to. So this could have been worse. But yeah, remember I said to you, Mike, that I consider this as and it's not just a game; it's an X-ray. That this game is going to be an X-ray. They're going to look inside and see what's really inside the Philadelphia Eagles after what happened on Sunday, with everything that was said about them over the last few days, the fact that they were in battle, the fact that they were pushed up against the wall, national television game. If there's anything there, you would see it today. Well, guess what? We got the X-ray back. There's no there.
Mm-hmm. No,
and that's the real scary part about it, because this team was in that position. They fully understood the position they were in, and they didn't respond. They did not respond, and that speaks volumes about the players. It speaks volumes about the coaching staff. It speaks volumes about the entire organization. For a guy that built his entire program on the idea of culture, you now have a culture that just looks, smells, and plays like a total loser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about culture real quick. Chip Kelly, okay? Because this falls on you, all right? Is it culture to get rid of playmakers and bring in your own guys that you think you can trust because they were in your Oregon system and think that it's going to translate so well in the NFL that it's such plug in and play? So let me get this straight. You get rid of, big time players and you plug in and play these rookies or whatever. Where has it gotten you? I'm just wondering. Because what I see is that in the previous 2 years when you had big-time players, you have playmakers, you went 10-6. You made the playoffs 1 year, and you didn't make it the next year, but you went 10-6. So as far as I'm concerned, you still had a chance, which is why I didn't understand why people were freaking the fuck out, because you still had somewhat of hope. You still had somewhat of a promising season of what you could do, which is why I got pissed off last season at people. This season, you're getting blown out left and fucking right. All right? That's not, no. You're not ending up 10-6. You're not going to be able to. All right? We already know that. And like I said, if you go over 7 losses, kiss it goodbye. Kiss him goodbye. They should find a coach right now. Start finding now for the end of the season. I'll put it like this. Chip Kelly, if he's gone, don't expect this to be cleaned up in one year. No, it's going to take a while. Now, then he got rid of our pieces. Now we pretty much have to rebuild. Because let's be honest here. This is a fucking rebuild. It is. It's a rebuild in his image. It's not a rebuild like the Sixers, where you got to get young and you got to get draft picks. It's not a rebuild like the Phillies, where you have to get young because you have these Asian players and you got to get rid of them. It's not like the Flyers, where they had to get young because you got to get a new coach and things of that nature because of what happened last season. No, there are reasons they got young. He did not need to go this route, but he did it because of pure ego. He did it because he wanted power. You can't tell me, I'm going to be the head coach. I'm going to be the GM. I can't. What did he say earlier in the season? I can't manage what's going on. Even last season, I can't manage what's going on with these players and why they get mad and things of that nature. My door is open. They can come to me, but I don't have the time to do that. And what did I say? They don't look. If your door is open, you have to understand, just as much as you have pride, those players have pride. So if they're fighting on the field or they got something to say in grudge, they think as a man, hey, I can handle this. They're not going to go running the coach every 5 seconds. You have to understand that. But when you see something wrong, you have to address it. And you haven't done that, Chip Kelly. So as far as I'm concerned, you can't sit here and say we're going to have this culture and this plug-and-play system, and then we're seeing the results of it. Because remember, you're doing things your way. This is your Frankenstein right now. It is. And it's not working. It's falling apart at the seams, isn't it? It's not just, we got to get better, or this can be fixed. And we heard Sam Bradford say that earlier this season. It's easily fixable. How many weeks was that into it? Easily fixable. Look where we're at now. Doesn't matter if Bradford's out in the field or Sanchez is out in the field. Doesn't matter who's out in that field. So for them to say, it's easily fixable. Remember, he said that when Dallas came into our house and beat us. And he was just like, it's easily fixable. Not even giving a shit about the rivalry. Because that's what it was. You had to win that game at home. And, didn't care at the time. That's why Eagles fans were so pissed off. But, he doesn't know any better. Every time we hear these excuses about how I'm going to take responsibility or, it's my fault, I didn't get the players ready, guess what? The next week, you get beat. And and then you say the same thing over and over again. It is the Andy Reid era over and over again. The thing is, this is just a shorter version of it, and you're getting the tail end of it. That's what it is. But it seems like with Chip Kelly, he still wants to play this game where it's, I'll take responsibility, and we'll try better next week. Do you really think you're going to beat the Patriots? I don't care if Denver beat the Patriots last night, okay? You can't tell me that Tom Brady isn't pissed off and ready to go against the Eagles. You can't tell me that. The Patriots are going to beat us. And that's going to be the end of the season. I do not care about how many games back we are. I don't want, because let's be honest. Let's just really be honest. Do you see anyone winning this division, going into the playoffs, and going to the Super Bowl? Do you see that? Because I sure as hell don't. It's too inconsistent from these teams. At one point, Washington was so far down, now they're leading the season. It's a seesaw fucking division. It is. And it's nothing to be proud of, no matter what team that you're a fan of. No one wants this division. That's what it feels like. You can't tell me that. No. But let's talk about more responsibility with Chip Kelly. Let's hear exactly what he says because, he feels as though the players gave him 100% on Thanksgiving. And then when they ask, is he the problem? He says, I don't know. I can't answer that. Instead of just being humble about it.
I think all of our players gave you 100%.
I believe our players played today. Yeah, I believe our players competed. Yes, I do.
All the players?
Yes.
So if the players are giving you 100% and you guys are losing like this, is the problem you?
I don't know. I don't have that answer. I just know. I just know. Yeah, we do it all the time, and we haven't put our players in position to make plays in the last 2 weeks, and that's on us. That's on me as a head coach. I'll take responsibility for that.
Chip Kelly, self-reflection. Try some. All right. There is no way you can tell me, all right, that you're sitting here saying that the players gave you 100%. If that's what you want to stick by and say that the players gave you 100%, then you say, well, it's my fault, and, I didn't get them ready for the game, and I didn't put them in position to win. But then when they ask you, all right, if you're the problem, because you're saying it's not the players, that you're the problem, and you're taking responsibility and answer, you say, I don't know, I don't have the answer. So you take responsibility, all right, then you say the players, it's not their fault. Then when you're asked, if it's you, you say, I don't know. So take responsibility, backtrack, then at the end, when you say you didn't put in position, take responsibility again. It's just absolutely ridiculous. They're just dancing around. And the thing is, the media just let him slide. And when this was over, all right, even CSN, they were like, well, he was being humble and blah, blah, blah. No, the media didn't go after him hard enough as far as I'm concerned. You got to be able to see through this bullshit. You can't take responsibility and say, I'm not the problem, when you're saying that the players aren't the problem. Well, then obviously it's the coaching, right? I mean, it's a process of elimination here. But then I don't have the answer for that. I don't know if it's me. Man up. Man up. Take some, like I say, if you want to take responsibility, say, you know what? It is me. It's my problem. You're sitting here saying you're not getting them, you're not preparing them right. You didn't put them in a position to make plays, but you don't know if you're the problem. All right, whatever. You know what? I want to move on about more problems. I want to talk about Chelsea. Chelsea versus Tottenham. That's right, football overseas. Let's get something straight. I got up at 7 o'clock in the morning to watch this game. Yeah, all right, because I'm a fan. That's what fans do. You know what I mean? So I'm watching this game. And I didn't get up 7 o'clock in the morning to watch not one team, but both teams throw themselves on the ground and bitch and moan when they don't get calls. This game was absolutely atrocious, all right? Horribly performed. And with the level of talent that Tottenham has and Chelsea has, this game should have had a number of goals in it. It should have. It should have been a back and forth as far as I'm concerned. Or at least strong defense, but it wasn't that. If you watch this game was horrible. Lack of effort. Seriously, from both teams. I'm sitting in the morning and watching this game like, you've got to be fucking kidding. I can't believe I got up for this shit. Like, that's how I feel. Because no one's putting in any effort. And the fact is, when you see this type of game played, and you're going into Tottenham, you're thinking to yourself, okay, Tottenham is a contender. We'll see what happens. Maybe you get some points from this. Maybe you can actually win. All right? And then, when you see the way the game played out, the final stats of this game tells everything, if you ask me. Now, while both teams had many chances, they weren't good enough to be recorded as shots. So, Chelsea, 1 shot on fucking goal. 1. That's what you get. And I want to get something straight here, all right? Because Mourinho thinks once again, I feel as though he's pulling this shit and trying to sabotage the season. For those who don't know, you bench Diego Costa, okay? You bench him. Now, here's the thing. Diego Costa was the guy who won you the game last week, okay? And as he said, I talked about last week when he was kicking, there was times where he just wasn't into it, and when he scored, he didn't care. His point is like, whatever, all right? But this week, you bench him, all right? The game looks horrible right now, all right? So you need to pick me up. You tell Costa to get ready. He goes on the side and warms up, all right? And he looks uninterested. He does, because he's still pissed off that you benched him, okay? That's number one. And then, after he warms up, Mourinho says, you know what? You're not going to play. Go sit the bench again. Yeah, go sit the bench. What does Diego Costa do? Takes off the jersey, throws it at Mourinho. This guy has fucked this season up so bad. And you have to understand, this is not his first time with personnel messing up. It's just like Chip Kelly, where he doesn't realize he lost the locker room. It's the same thing with Mourinho, okay? You can't sit here. We've seen the issues with him and Hazard not too long ago. Now you're pulling this shit with Costa. He actually had the nerve to come out and say that Diego Costa doesn't understand that he has to bide his time when he's not playing. That he has to be more conservative when he's not playing. Understand what he's looking at when he's not playing. No, you have to understand. Diego Costa plays off of raw emotion. When he is not out on that pitch, you should know that he is going to throw a fit because he lives to play that way. Now, granted, this guy has a lot of antics involved, but they're all emotionally driven. You know that. So when you have a player like Costa, who we saw what he did last season, played phenomenally last season, and then you sit here and say, he needs to be benched. Pretty much what you're saying is so he can learn a lesson, which is the last thing you want to do right now because you need points and you're playing against Tottenham, which you should have beat Tottenham, but that's in my opinion, okay? And you want to do something to put him on punishment so he can learn a lesson. Do you really think that's going to go well? That is absolutely horrible. But this is the type of management we have right now. It's one thing if a player had acted up and you want to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to get you for acting up. But we're talking about a player who won you the fucking game last week and didn't have any type of controversy. Now you decide to bench him. So all those other times where there were controversial calls or fouls or antics, you were okay with that. But this time, oh, no, we have to bench him. And, I never thought that I would see myself defending Diego Costa this much this week, but you've got to be fucking kidding me. So make the guy warm up and then say, you're not going to play. It's almost like you're just trolling. You're fucking with him. And you know how he is. That's why he threw the jersey at you afterwards. This team is a mess. And you can't have players disrespecting the management. You can't, all right? Because then it makes it look like they're bigger than, actual management. And then you have media come along and say, does he really want to be here? You see that. For Mourinho to just be cool with it, just be like, it's just a hissy fit. Don't worry about it. You have to understand, when I showed you the video not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, where Mourinho threw the entire team under the fucking bus, okay? I say a month or so ago, all right? That has set the tone for how the players are playing, how the players are reacting to their management. That is not good. So yeah, Diego Costa, while it was wrong for him to do what he did, I understand why he did that. You can't keep a guy who plays with his heart on his sleeve, who is nothing but raw emotion, and you're just fucking with him. Yeah, you're going to sit the bench. Okay, you know what? I think we need you. Go warm up. You know what? You're not going to play. Go sit the bench again. I'm only fucking with you. Like, that's what you're doing. You're fucking with people's mentality. And for you, Mourinho, when you said that these players are weak when it comes to mentality, why would you do that? Why? Why would you take that gamble? This guy needs to go. As far as I'm concerned, let him go. After the season, let him go. It's disgusting. You know what else is disgusting? The Griffin Force Flop of the Week. That's right. We're going to stay with soccer EPL because you know what, Wayne Rooney? I'm not a Wayne Rooney fan after what he said a couple years ago about American football, about how he's like, oh, it's the Super Bowl, I don't understand what's going on. They're not real players. But like, he was just going on. And me and Wayne went at it for a minute. You know what I mean? And it was just like, and this is what I understand. You can still enjoy other sports without it being so pure as to your sport. Okay, football. And that's why I hear a lot of people say, well, it's not football, it's hand, egg, and things of that nature. Granted, you're only playing, but there are people who really believe that. You know what I mean? You can still enjoy other sports. If I'm watching football, it doesn't mean that I can't enjoy soccer. If I'm watching soccer, it doesn't mean that I can't enjoy rugby. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you can enjoy those things for what they are, given their content. You know what I mean? especially in their in the context of their sport and their rules. You can enjoy it. Now, if you don't like it, that's one thing. For him to say, I don't understand, that's one thing. Okay, that's fine. I don't understand, then you ask, help me understand. You know what I mean? You put it out there. But to say, I don't understand, and then bag on the sport, when let's be honest here, it's a lot more popular than soccer, that's wrong. So, Griffin Force Flop of the Week, I am happy to say that Wayne Rooney gets it, because you have to understand, in this defensive set, and the way this guy's playing him, it's not a bad move, all right? There's no contact involved. He squeezes Rooney, but there's no reason why Rooney needs to take the dive. So, let's take a look at it.
The breakaway can do some damage here. Martial's coming up on the left-hand side in support of Wayne Rooney towards the penalty area. He goes. The challenge came in by Bouts. Craig Pawson is peering over at the assistant referee, who might have had a better view on that, and between them they decide it wasn't a free kick. Right on the edge of the area as well.
It's one thing if you're trying to step over that and fell because you lost your footing because there was nothing there. There's really nowhere to step. But if you look at it again, he steps over that because the guy, he squeezes him and backs off. So he puts his left foot down. Mind you, there's nothing wrong with his opposite leg, which is not being touched. There's no one around him on that opposite side. And all of a sudden, you decide, I'm just going to go limp and fall. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that at all. Okay? Flop, as far as I'm concerned. Now, with that being said, let's talk about flops. Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Oh, my God. You know what? I can't even talk about the Flyers this week because they actually won some games, so I'm not worried about that. Philadelphia 76ers. I told you on Twitter. A number of fans had, spoke to me throughout the week watching the Sixers-Boston game. And Boston's fans, were talking to me and saying, look, the Sixers may do something. I said, look, there is 7 minutes left in this game. If you saw the way they played against Miami and collapsed in 2 minutes, they can collapse in Boston. With a minute 39 left, what happened? The Sixers collapsed in Boston. They did. Okay? With that being said, after the game, because as we know, Jalil Okafor, he played really good. All right? He played very well. I played this. It was a competitive game, so I can't get much on the Sixers. All right? But this is becoming a problem now where you're collapsing when it comes to down in the stretch. Because these are games that you're up. You were up against Miami. You were up against Boston. And you blew it. You don't know how to finish games, okay? And for a team that wants it really bad enough, you would find a way to just stay consistent. But you don't. But that's not the problem, okay? You lost the game. You're going to play again anyway. It's what happened after the game. And for those who don't know, Jalil Okafor got into a fist fight, with a Boston fan. That's right, because this Boston fan literally is just saying, the Sixers suck and you suck. Because, yeah, that's the reason why you should fight him, Jalil Okafor. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? You know what? Let's look at the fight right now.
We got money, you broke down. We got money. Money makes you how much money is money. Come on. Broke down. Bitch ass, man. Wrong with you? Yo, come on.
So let me get this straight, all right? A fan says, you suck, your team sucks, and it's possible that you may not win a game this year. Kind of not wrong right now. I mean, because for those who don't know, the Sixers, as of late, congratulations, Sixers, you have broken the record of how many games consecutively to lose. That's right, you now own the record at 27 losses in a row. Sad, all right? So as far as I'm concerned, this guy is saying, hey, you suck, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand as a professional athlete, Jalil Okafor, why you're so upset. Now, I understand that you're trying hard out there, and, you're trying to play hard, and you're still losing. It may be frustrating. I get it, okay? But there's no reason why you need to put hands on somebody because someone says you suck. That's just stupid, all right? And then your response is, well, I got money. Okay, well, if that's the case and you have money, then there's nothing else that needs to be said. Now, the guy was right. He's like, you think money makes the world go around? All that? Like, he's right because you can't keep throwing money in people's faces because that's what arrogant athletes do. But you also have to understand, in the confines of this being shit-talking anything between each other, of course he's going to pull that card. He's going to. So that's fine. All right? Don't have a problem with that. Now, with that being said, you can't get upset and you can't put your hands on a fan because they say you suck. it makes you look sensitive. If you have money and you are playing, you're an NBA player, you're a baller, all right? You have a hell of an upside to you. You have a hell of a ceiling. Why would you do that? That is absolutely stupid. Now, a lot of people could say, let's be honest here, chalk it up to immaturity. He's 19 years old, blah, 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 blah. But if that's the case, then you have to look at the NBA in general then. You have to look at why these kids are thrown into this profession, all right, so quick, so young, no type of mentoring whatsoever. I mean, if we're really going to play this card where he's young and he's a kid, then I put it like this. Obviously, he hasn't had it hard enough. Because at 19 years old, I can tell you a number of people who knew better to fight over, well, you suck. You know what I mean? Like, you knew better not to do that when you were 13. Or you playing basketball. And if someone said you suck, you know what? It didn't turn into a fight. It turned into, okay, play me one-on-one then. Because now you got to own up to it. You know what I mean? If I suck, you should be able to beat me. Like, that's what it always was. It wasn't about putting hands on somebody, some fan who's possibly drunk, because he thinks you suck. Which, let's be honest here, you suck. But there's more to this. No, for those who don't know. Because I didn't think that Jalil Okafor would be a problem off the court, okay? But this is not his first time that he's had this problem. Jalil Okafor, down here second in Walnut, had a gun pointed at him in October by another heckler at a club who said, hey, Jalil Okafor, you suck. And you got mad about it, and it ended up being an altercation. He pulled a gun on you. You didn't learn in October from this, so now you're fighting Boston fans. Jalil Okafor came out and said not too long ago that, he has to be more professional about things. But this is your second time now, all right? That's not all. It was recently reported that Jalil Okafor was pulled over for driving 108 miles an hour on the Ben Franklin Bridge. Now, mind you, second and Walnut, Ben Franklin Bridge, not far from each other. But that's not the case. That's not the point. The point is, this report that came out not too long ago, this actually happened 3 weeks ago. But they're just now reporting it. So I just want to say this in defense of Jalil Okafor. Jalil, when you act like a fucking idiot, all right, and I'm going to defend you on this, you should know, because you're obviously not getting any mentoring from the Sixers organization or from the NBA in general, you should know that the media is watching. The fact that you got into a fight, all right, in Boston, they got it on camera, and then afterwards, we see these reports coming out that you had a gun pointed at you, second in Walnut. Then, this report comes out that 3 weeks ago, you were pulled over for 108 miles an hour. It goes to show you that the media is looking to get you. 1 minute they'll like you, the next minute they'll hate you. And it goes to show you that they wouldn't even look into this until that fight. They said, what else can we dig and find on Jalil Okafor? Oh yeah, 3 weeks ago, he did this and we didn't know. He had a gun pulled on for almost the same reason, and we didn't know. It goes to show you that this is a recurring problem with the media. This is my defense with him, because if we want to play the young card, the media has to back it down a notch and give this kid and say, hey, you got to leave this kid alone. Or any of these kids alone if that's the case. The fact that you didn't know what was going on, and finally it comes on your radar, so then you want to dig and find all these past issues, and then want to throw it out there just to, to kick him while down, to throw some more dirt on him. It goes to show you how pathetic our media is. But they take no responsibility, because they're saying if you don't make the news, then they have nothing to report. But what they fail to realize is that they need those athletes to make news, because then they have nothing to report and they're out of a job. Or, worse come to worse, you know how they start spinning things. If they don't have news, they'll create news. We saw that with Marshawn Lynch. But it's okay, though. Is he ignorant, blah, blah, blah? Is he had his friends smoking weed, blah, blah? Never talked about his charity organization or anything. No, because that makes him look like a good guy. But we're not going to talk about that. And all that stemmed from what? Because he didn't want to talk to the media? Right. Like I said, when you have to find something, and you can't find something, you have to create something, it goes to show you that these people are vultures. And it's not just Philly media, it's all around. That's why when you look at these athletes, you got to say, they're under a microscope. But this is what they signed up for, yes, but you still have to remember that they are human. They do have emotions, all right? Jalil Okafor obviously was very sensitive to what was being said, very emotional to what was being said, ended up getting into a fight. You know what I mean? Can't be that way. You got to be more professional. If people say you suck, just be like, oh, I guess you got a lot of free time on your hands to say that, huh? I mean, seriously, you went out of your way to go tell an athlete in person that he sucks. like who does that? You know what I mean? People who are looking to start shit. And you should be more aware of the signs. Understand that where you played in college, you didn't have much of that because everyone was all, lovey-dovey. You're so great. You're in Philadelphia. You're with a bad team. What do you expect, man? This is what's going to come your way. So that's the only defense I can give for this guy. It's not even that much of a defense, but what can you do, right? I mean, hey. But the Sixers are still horrible. They're still atrocious to watch. And like I said, it wasn't just because of that in Boston. You have to think, afterwards, they played again. And you know what? They lost again. Again. It just goes to show you that just... And once again, at the end of the game, right, blowing it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Speaking of defense, because like I said, it was a weak defense, and we're going to talk about weak defenses. We're going to move on to boxing. That's right. This weekend had a lot of great boxing bouts. I mean, Premier Boxing Champions put on such a great fight. They did. All right? Showtime had great bouts. All right? HBO had great... I won't even... No. I won't say that was a great bout. I won't say that Tyson Fury versus Klitschko was a great bout. But we will talk about that. But, like I said, I want to talk about weak defense first. Last week, I talked to you about getting into an exchange with a guy who's more aggressive than you. And that you shouldn't do it. You should bide your time. Right? Well, once again, we have another example of not biding your time when this guy, who is an Olympic hopeful, and here's the thing, he was primed to go to the Olympics, that's right, the Rio Olympics coming up this year, and he left. Beyond mind blown. I can't believe that you would leave a chance at the Olympics, and pretty much everyone's saying that you're a shoo-in to win the gold medal. You would leave to become a pro boxer. Now, look, if that's what he chose, that's his business, his prerogative, but for me, it's like, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you know what I mean? But whatever. Anyways, you have this guy who is an Olympic hopeful, all right, who is a professional now, who is so damn aggressive and hits hard, and you think because of the way you're boxing, because obviously you are slower than this guy, that you're going to try and get caught in exchange with him? What the fuck was you thinking, man?
Took a shot to the eye. Oh, and a good combination by Lubin. Beautiful straight left hand off that right hook, Mark. He's hit Camacho with it a few times. Down goes Camacho.
Yeah, and after that knockdown, the guy starts scrambling, and he's having a huge problem getting back on defense and to recover. And I'm trying to figure out, ref, after you saw that, you should really step in and stop this fight.
Takes advantage of it.
Final seconds, and they get a pounding from Lubin with combinations. And Camacho able to last the first round.
There's a difference between defending yourself when a guy is coming aggressive at you after being knocked down and pawing at your opponent. If you notice, for every, 4 to 5 punches, the guy throws 1. And that's just to keep him into the fight, to make it look like that he's being active. That's the trick to the ref not stopping the fight. Because if you're not defending yourself the entire time, the ref will step in because he doesn't feel that you're physically able to. But the fact that every once in a while you do this, the ref says, okay, you're trying to fight back. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. The guy survives the first round. If you ask me, he shouldn't have come out for the second round. But as soon as he come out for the second round, this happens.
Unofficial score, boxing commentator Corey has a 10-8 round for Lubin, as you'd expect. Oh, down goes Camacho.
That was beautiful. That was a perfect time.
He's not getting up. It's all over.
Oh boy didn't even try to get up. As you saw, he sat up. Didn't want to get back up after the standing 8. He didn't want any parts of that power after that right hook. It goes to show you that this fight should have been stopped in the first round, at the end of the first round, because he wasn't capable of doing it. You saw the way he was coming out. His hands were a little low. He had that gap right here that says, hey, hit me. And guess what? When he stepped in, that right hook caught him. It's that simple, all right? This is one of those things where, once again, the refs have to realize and understand you're giving guys the benefit of the doubt, but that could be a dangerous thing when it comes to the fighter's safety. That guy, clearly, after that first knockdown, you saw the way he was, he was scrambling, at the end, he threw 1 or 2 punches. That's not enough. He's not being active enough. You have to stop that fight. You can't give him the benefit of the doubt, and then as soon as he comes out in the second round, gets flattened. Like, that's just, there's no point. It goes to show you, even sitting on a stool and having that minute break, it wasn't enough for him to clear his head and get back into the fight. So, that's a problem. Now, speaking of getting into the fight, I want to say that we're going to talk about Tyson Fury versus Klitschko. This fight was such a joke. And you know what? I'll say the first half of the fight was such a joke, all right? You can't be kidding me that in the first 3 rounds of this fight, okay, then no one barely threw a punch. Now, there's a difference between feeling your opponent out and, and getting some jabs in and not throwing pretty much any activity at all. For those who did not see the first 3 rounds, here are the number of punches landed between both boxers. 17 punches landed to 11 in 3 rounds. Are you serious? This fight was such a joke the first half. Look, Tyson Fury, as we know, he went in as trying to play the crazy man, and everyone loves him over in the UK, and he was dressed as Batman at the press conference before. He jumps on the Joker. So this guy, he's loose. He's saying he's crazy, there's something wrong. He's very loose. He's getting in Klitschko's head. And the way he was moving, because let's be honest here, he's keeping his hands down. He's moving so he keeps Klitschko guessing, because that's what it is. Because Klitschko, he keeps his hands up. He's very stiff. He's waiting for the power, which never comes really throughout this fight. All right, and you know how Klitschko is. He will hold you, he will hug you, will headlock you, and walk you into a corner. We have seen this. Fury made it known that he was going to use footwork and keep it to the outside. Because let's be honest, Klitschko cannot deal with that. We saw this with Jennings not too long ago when he was doing it, but he didn't do it enough. All right? So we know Klitschko's weakness. I'm going to say 6 rounds on. I'll say that, 6 rounds on. All right? Fight got pretty good. They were actually hitting each other. There was movement. There was stiff arm. There was inside hitting. Look. Tony Weeks is one of the worst refs I feel in boxing due to the fact that he always gives warnings and never gives points. And in this fight, it's amazing because, and they talked about it, commentary, how Klitschko usually has the advantage in this type of fights of where he fights. Tony Weeks was taking points away from Tyson Fury, okay, for hitting in the back of the head. However, he's really not saying anything to Klitschko about the headlocking or the holding or the weighing down of his body. He's really not. And I'm thinking to myself, if you want him to stop rabbit punching, then you have to stop doing that. Because when he's going down like this, he's hitting him like this because he's in a headlock or he's got him clinched. What are you supposed to do? Just let him just weigh on you? No. And then walk you in the back? No. There's a reason why he used to do that with other opponents, smaller opponents, and what would happen? He would get away with it. He would win his fights. And people start calling Klitschko boring, all right? With this guy, who's, if not your size, if not a little bit taller, you can't do that, all right? So it has to be known. Tony Weeks did really nothing about that situation. However, he's still taking points away from Tyson Fury, but it didn't matter at that point. Tyson Fury was so up on these rounds that Klitschko had no chance. Now, near the end of this fight, I'll say the last round was the best round that Klitschko had. Because Klitschko is saying, hey, I need a knockout. I need to punch. I need to really just give it my all if I don't want to lose these titles. And you lost. You did. And a lot of people were happy to see Klitschko lose. I will admit, I'm happy to see him lose due to the fact that we need competition, but people got tired of seeing the way that you fought because you weren't fighting. You weren't. You were keeping your distance and holding people and headlocking people and walking them back and waiting. You would, of course, as a champion, for as long as you've been doing it, you were handpicking your opponents pretty much and saying, hey, this has to happen. Tyson Fury brought something to the table. Now, let's talk about Tyson Fury. All right? When you start singing at the end of it, he had a Rocky IV moment because he talks about how, hopefully the fans that, the fans were against him are now fans of his. And he starts singing to, this woman and the women beneath his wings and everything. He has a Rocky IV moment. And the fans are cheering him, the people who are against him are now for him. I find it funny that the way Tyson Fury fought, even though he's undefeated, you have to be kidding me that if he was hit by a big puncher, like if someone really got into him, that he would be able to stand up to that. I'm just saying this from a physical aspect, not because of the way he's built, but because how slow he really is. But Klitschko was just that much more slow. Klitschko was like a tank. He stood in one spot, all right? So Fury could move around. But going against a younger guy, let's just say Deontay Wilder, okay? Because Wilder put out a tweet and was like, Fury, I'm coming for you. He said it, I'm coming for you. I don't think that he can beat Deontay Wilder. I really don't think he can. I don't think he has the power, let alone the speed to hang with him, okay? That's number one. And I said on Twitter, because I didn't know at first, I said on Twitter that when this fight was over, David Haye is somewhere in his cave, ready to make a comeback. You know, we saw what happened between him and Klitschko, and we know that was a joke and that he should have stayed far away from boxing. Now that Klitschko lost, hey guys, I'm back. And you guys had let me know that on Tuesday, he said that he was announcing his comeback, and he was waiting for this fight because of this, because he wants an all-UK pay-per-view. Which, to me, he doesn't deserve a title shot just yet. He doesn't. I think Deontay Wilder deserves that shot more than David Haye. But I understand if that's what they're going to do and have an all-UK pay-per-view. I understand sometimes it's about business, it's about politics, it's not just about boxing. You want to see the best go after the best. It's not about that every time. You know what I mean? So I understand that. But for David Haye to sit and calculate and wait and be like, okay, now's my time to come back. That tells you something. It's not only strategic and it's smart, but it also says on one side, it's kind of cowardly. You know what I mean? But I get it. I do get it. We've seen it over the years. We saw Sugar Ray Leonard do this when he fought Marvin Hagler. He waited until Marvin Hagler was pretty much a broken shell of himself to say, hey, now I'll fight you. He didn't fight Marvin Hagler when it was really time to fight Marvin Hagler. If anyone saw the documentary between those two, when Sugar Ray set this up and the time that they had to fight, and Sugar Ray said himself, if I didn't play it the way I did, I wouldn't have beat Hagler. He said that. So it goes to show you that there are a lot of politics and strategic, moves when it comes to picking opponents and when to fight them. In boxing, it happens. Okay? Anyways, like I said, it was a great weekend for boxing. Lots of knockouts. Premier Boxing Champions had a lot of stoppages and knockouts. Errol Spence Jr., mark my words, kid's going to be a star. I've said this before about him, but he's the real deal. He is. And he's already called out a number of people, like big-time people, like Thurman. Like, he wants to fight the best. He's ready. Like I said, I just think it's great to see. You know what I mean? We're not too, coming up we have Jacobs versus Kid Chocolate. And you know what, Quillen? And you know what? I hope Quillen beats him. Because for those who remember, I covered, Jacobs versus Sergio Mora. Remember, Sergio Mora broke his ankle in the ring after he knocked down Jacobs. And remember how arrogant Jacobs was about it? Oh, I don't need to give him a rematch. I just move up because he had no chance of beating me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you didn't beat him. He broke his ankle in the ring. He couldn't get up. You didn't beat him. You know what I mean? So I'm really hoping that Quillen really puts it on him. And for those who don't know, Quillen, he used to have the title, but he had to relinquish his title due to some personal reasons. So he had to relinquish it. So he's looking to get it back. So as far as I'm concerned, I see Quillen winning this fight. And this is supposed to be the battle for Brooklyn. So Paulie Malignaggi is going to be there to commentate for it. You know that. Rosie Perez is going to be in the crowd and everything. I'm really hoping that Quillen really pulls out all the stops. And from a fighter's point of view, I think that Quillen has more... he has more in his arsenal than Jacobs does. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, I'm done. I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.